Good morning, Southern California, AM 1220 KHTS. This is Fred Arnold, the host of the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight. And I'm here with Dan. Dan is a long time resident of the Santa Clarita Valley and owner of PACC Automotive, Dan Carpenter. And you've been in business since 1988.
1988 is correct.
One of the longest standing business owners I've had on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, businesses come and go, but you guys have been there and strong. Tell us about the essence of what you do. You're over by the car wash, right behind the car wash there?
Right across the street from the BMW dealership in the Auto Spa complex, yes. And we've been there for the last 16 years. Started out on Creekside over by the post office, and
yeah, and then moved over, and your name was referred by two people when I needed car repair, so that I first came to you probably 5 or 6 years ago. One of the things that I love is you did work on my GM, you worked on my Acura. Is it what cars, makes, and models? Is there anything particular you specialize in?
You know what? We try to stick to just the imports and domestics. We started out in just the imports. Acura was one of our #1 vehicles we worked on, and you know, customers like the repairs, the service, and they requested that we worked on more makes and models. So.
Yeah, and if you ever go into their lobby, when you go into their lobby, it's just fantastic. They've got the best patriotic pictures. You walk in there and it's like you're Americana all over again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it, and very welcoming, very I want to say mechanic-like, very clean, very comfortable. Everything's written out and computer generated, so you can get an estimate. That's been my experience as a customer. So good stuff. What are some tips that you could give out there on avoiding having to come in as often as some people have to because they're not taking care of their car?
Well, you know what? I think everybody has been told this in the past, and it's still the same: is maintenance. You know, keep the car, keep the oil changed, keep the car maintained, keep the air filter clean, and you'll find that you get a lot of life out of your vehicle.
Let me ask you about air filter, because this is the one thing that's irked me in the past. Is you go to some shops and they do investigations and they're not really changing the air filter. They're not really changing certain items. California law to give back the parts, or what's the rule of thumb on that, so you can make sure you're getting what you're paying for? You
know, it's not a law, but you know what? You're always welcome to request the parts back, and anybody that's doing an ethical job is going to be willing to give you your parts back. You know, you're right. There are a lot of shops that do recommend things too frequently. You know, but if you go into your owner's manual, it'll tell you how frequently a lot of your services need to be done. So you don't need to be buying an air filter every time you change your oil.
How do you know you're getting quality products? That's been something that is it the dealer you have to, or the shop, the automotive shop you have to trust? Because I don't know whether an aftermarket product is just as good or going to get by just as well. Because when I'm driving, my kids to school, I don't need a fast car. I might not need the most expensive filter. I don't know that information, if you will.
Right, and that's a good question, but you know what, it goes back to having to rely on the shop that you're using. There's a lot of quality aftermarket parts, and there's some really cheap aftermarket parts. But if you go to a business that is doing an ethical job, usually they're using top-notch parts.
Yeah, very important that you do that. And last but not least, how often should people, should car owners be coming into your shop? Is it when the red light pops up? Do you normally give a sticker for somebody? Tell us more about how often so that your car is properly maintained.
Right. A lot of the vehicles today, they have service indicator lights that will come on and tell you when your oil needs to be changed. For a lot of the newer cars, you're looking at about maybe 5,000 to 7,000 miles on an oil change today. Where the older ones, you're still probably looking at about 3,000 or 4,000 miles on an oil change.
And that's important to know, because sometimes, they always say 3,000 miles and that's it. On older cars, that makes sense, but on newer cars, they're running much more efficiently.
Technology has come a long ways. Yeah, the oil is lasting longer. We do use a different type of oil on the newer cars versus the older cars.
One last question, and I'm just going to throw this out there, out of the blue, and that is 87, 89, or 91 gas. Now tell me the myth behind that. My my nephew was telling me he went to University of Pennsylvania, and one of his professors was saying that, look, the way the gas is refined in California, it's pretty darn good gas to begin with. What is the rule of thumb on the car?
You know what, I'm going to go with that too, because you know what, I drive a Lincoln Navigator that is requiring a 91 octane, and I've always ran an 87. I haven't noticed any reduction in power. There's no noise from the motor, but I got to say that I do add a fuel additive about every 4 months just to go through and clean everything out.
Even on a newer car?
Even on a newer car. It doesn't hurt. It goes in and it cleans it all out, and keeps the injectors clean, keeps the motor clean, and it'll allow the vehicle to last longer.
And unless, of course, you have a high-performance car, and that's a difference. But now in the days of right-sizing our lives and right-sizing our businesses and so much involved, it is really, really important that we understand and save every penny we can, but also don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Is that what it is?
Absolutely.
Something like that. You want to make sure you get the proper maintenance.
But the price of fuel today, you know what, I just, you know what, you're fine with 87.
Yes, very good, very good. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Carpenter with PACC Domestic and PACC Automotive, right across the street from the BMW dealership on Valencia Boulevard.
On Valencia Boulevard.
Phone number for someone to call in and make an appointment.
661-253-3123.
And I'm telling you right now, same day, a lot of times they can take you, if not next morning. Great people. Personal testimony from Fred Arnold, because I use the service and they do a great job. So you've been listening to Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight on AM 1220 KHTS.